An incredibly rare Superman poster advertising DC Comics at the Palisades Park in New Jersey recently came into the studio. This is one of only 2 known examples of this brightly colored, oversized poster. It's arguably the hardest piece of Superman promotional material to find from the Silver Age. It's owned by a collector and dealer who asked us to restore it so he can resell it. This collector had been searching for this poster for years, and when it was offered to him, he jumped at the chance to buy it. Now make sure you watch the whole video because I'll let you know where to find this poster for sale at the end. The poster is in surprisingly good condition for its age and rarity. It's a silkscreen, which makes it even more surprising that it survived. Silkscreened posters are more susceptible to damage because if they're handled improperly, the ink can easily chip off. Unlike lithographic posters, the inks on a silkscreen sit on top of the surface of the paper rather than being pressed into the paper fibers like a lithograph. When a silkscreen gets wet, the ink can easily chip off or become badly stained. When this poster came into the studio, I knew we would have a phenomenal result. I was excited to get started on this project and show the collector the finished product. The poster had some staining along the top, which is typical when it's been rolled for over 60 years. The first step in the process was to wash the paper and lightly bleach it to reduce this staining. Even though the poster looked to be in great condition, there was a ton of acid that needed to be washed out of the paper. This poster showed up just in time, because if it had not been properly washed and deacidified, the paper would have started to become brittle and dark brown. I'm always amazed at how much acid can build up in paper and how great it looks once it's been properly washed. In 1968, DC Comics ran an ad in comic books inviting kids to be my guest at the park. These enticing ads were fronted by none other than Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. The interesting thing about this poster is that it sits at the intersection of comic book culture and regional amusement park history. It's a time capsule of DC's marketing in 1968. This striking, oversized shop display was tied to a real-world destination many readers only knew about from ads. For Superman collectors, it's a top-tier crossover artifact. For Palisades historians, it's a marquee piece from the park's final era. The park closed in 1971, just 3 years after this poster was produced. Palisades Park flourished during the 1950s and 60s. The park had several attractions like roller coasters, Ferris wheels, and a famous saltwater swimming pool that could hold 8,000 people. The park was also known for its concerts. Big names like Chuck Berry, the Four Seasons, and Diana Ross all performed there. Now it's time for Josh to linen back the poster. We use a water-based wheat paste to adhere the poster to an archival barrier paper, which has been mounted to a stretched canvas. Josh uses a series of brushes and rollers to even out the poster and remove any air bubbles. Once this step is complete, the poster will be put into the racks and allowed to dry. Posters were a big part of the park's identity. They were pasted to walls, bus stops, and store windows throughout New Jersey and New York to advertise coming attractions. These posters were usually screen prints or lithographs on a thin paper stock. They were distributed to shopkeepers and displayed across the region. Okay, so now that the poster has been washed, deacidified, and linen backed, it's time to restore this beauty. The missing areas of the paper are carefully replaced using donor posters, and the creases and tears are touched up by Jess, who is one of our expert restorers. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this poster is going to look amazing once it's restored because it's a silkscreen. Jess will replace any missing color using gouache, colored pencils, and water-based markers. These posters captured a vanished era of American amusement. They bridge folk art and pop culture, standing alongside Coney Island broadsides and circus posters as part of a larger tradition of American entertainment. Restored, they tell not only the story of the park, but of youth, music, and summer in mid-20th century New Jersey. I can't wait for Jason, the owner of this poster, to see it when it's completed. We restore posters for dealers, collectors, and auction houses all over the world, so we typically ship the posters when they're finished. In this case, Jason lives in New Jersey and drove to the studio to pick it up. Here's his reaction to the fully restored poster when he arrived. All right, Jason, we finished the Superman poster. You remember what it looked like, right?
I do.
All right. This is the restored poster.
Oh, boy. Amazing. Looks amazing.
So do you remember what was wrong with this poster?
I mean, yeah, it had some toning, it had some stains, it had very, very small chunks of paper out of it, but it looks brand new.
I'll tell you, I love restoring a silk screen because the gouache that we use is the exact same tone as the screen printing.
Okay.
So you can barely see the restoration.
That's true. I can't tell, and I'm this close to it. It looks absolutely perfect. Well, I mean, I love amusements of any kind. So I, of course, was not born when Palisades Park closed in 1971. But as soon as I see anything Palisades, I absolutely love it. Of course, I am a war poster dealer. Generally, this is not war-related, but I know a good one when I see one. Anything DC-related, anything with a superhero, especially Superman. And this is from 1968, and the park was closed a few years later. So really anything with having to do with Palisades Park, superheroes, it just pushes so many buttons. I had to have it.
So your other business, tell me about your other business. I know a little bit about it. It's obnoxious
Antiques.
Obnoxious Antiques.
I work with the two owners of the business. You know, we buy vintage amusements. Simple as that. The crazier, the better. So we actually just, Gillian's Wonderland Pier was in business in Ocean City for 94 years. And when it closed, we went in and we bought most of the contents of the park. And that's what we do. And you know, of course, this is perfect because it is a vintage amusement poster from Palisades Park. So it kind of ties into both businesses, and it's a perfect fit. I only know of one other copy that's known to exist of this one. It sold a few years back at an auction. But no, I haven't had any footage, but I do know where they sold them, where they displayed them. And it would generally be at comic book shops. You know, you get a comic book, a DC comic book, and there's going to be a discount for Palisades Park in there.
Now I know that this is extremely rare,
right?
Because Superman was rarely sort of licensed to something like Palisades Park.
That's true.
Anything Superman was just Superman.
That's correct.
So that's obviously one of the things that increases the value, I'm assuming?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, again, you like you said, everything was just comic book based, about Superman, about a comic book, about a movie, nothing generally outside of that realm of DC Comics. So somehow Palisades got the licensing, you know, and they worked together on it, and that is why it is extremely rare and extremely valuable poster.
So now, let me ask you. What are you going to sell this for? What are you going to ask for it?
$17,000.
I looked it up. The one that sold at auction a few years ago sold for around $15 plus the buyer's premium.
15, yes, and then, but the problem with that one is 100% of it was glued down to foam core with non-archival glue. So imagine this poster this size in the frame, completely glued down to foam core, and it still sold for $15,000. Wow. This one is perfect. It is linen backed, expertly restored, and it's just a slight bit more. But to linen back the poster that was completely glued down to board would cost thousands of dollars in and of itself. This one doesn't have those issues.
I can tell you, if that one is glued to board with a non-reversible adhesive, that's the way that poster is going to live for the rest of its life.
There you go.
So it's going to just continue to degrade year after year until it's nothing.
Exactly.
So
we don't have that problem here.
No, this is, I mean, that's incredible. I had no idea. I mean, when I researched it and I saw that, I just assumed it was either linen backed or it was just still a paper.
Yeah, no, it was in the listing of the auction, and it said this has been affixed to glued down to foam core and framed.
So what that tells me is, I think your price at $17,000 is too low.
Possibly.
All right. Well, I hope you like the work we did.
Always do.
You're ready to roll. I can't wait to see these posters on your website, and I can't wait to see you sell them.
Thanks again, Lee. All are available right now at jswarposters.com. Thanks again.